Hey, what's up? It's Josh, I Break Your Stereo and Performance. This is a 2020 Ram, and we're going to be doing a lift kit, so stay with us. Okay, so as you can see on this vehicle, you've got a bit of a rake, so it's definitely lower in the front than it is on the rear. So Ready Lift makes a kit, and it's going to be a 3.5 lift in the front and a 2-inch lift in the rear. All right, so these are the components that come with this kit. So these are going to be your rear coil spacers, and that'll give you that 2-inch lift. And then you have actually three different components for the front. So this is your coil spacer. This goes inside the actual coil spring, so you have to take the coil, the strut apart, and then this goes within there. And after you put that back together, there's a strut spacer that's going to go on the top. So you have the original strut, and then the strut spacer goes on top, and then you put it back into the vehicle. And then you also have the upper control arms. And since you're going so high, the factory ones would bang on a couple different parts, so they give you a different pitched upper control arm, so that when you're going on the road, you hit a bump, or if you go off road, it's not going to be banging around. So this is altogether pretty nice kit. Part number on this one, 691935, available on our website. But stay with us, we're going to go ahead and do a full tutorial on this, show exactly what needs to happen in order to get this thing put on. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to remove the ABS wire harness from the frame rail, and then also from the upper control arm. And then remove the outer tie rod from the knuckle, and that's a 21. And now remove the sway bar end link, and that's a 19. And then you're gonna wanna do it on the other side too. That way the sway bar is not binding on you. All right, so now we're gonna take out the brake caliper, and that's a 21. And then carefully take off that brake caliper and set it aside. Okay, now you're going to want to loosen up the upper control arm ball joint from the knuckle, and that's a 21. Then you're going to need to dislodge it. Just make sure you find the strike point on the knuckle. Now you're going to want to remove the upper strut hardware from the frame, and that's a 16. Okay, now you're going to want to remove the lower strut mount. Make sure to support the lower control arm. And then one side's a 24 and the other one's a 21. Now go ahead and remove the strut. Be careful of the brake lines and anything that might be in the way. And bring that over to the strut compressor. And you want to loosen up that 18. Okay, so before you loosen up that, you want to make sure you're compressing that coil. And that top nut's an 18. And then remove the top hat. Then go ahead and insert the coil spacer. And then the top hat. You're going to want to compress that down first to get enough threads, and then your 18. Okay, and when you put that in, make sure that's fully seated, and then you're going to want to torque that down to 30 pounds. Now put the strut spacer on top, tighten those down, and those are also 30 pounds. Now what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to cut off the original bolts on the top, because that hits. So just grind those down with a die grinder, and then you're able to pop that in. And then just reassemble. If you're enjoying this video, you think it's useful, make sure you hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our channel. We're consistently putting out videos like this, showing you guys exactly how things are done. And if you have any questions or suggestions, go ahead and leave that in the comments below. Okay, so now it's time to switch out the upper control arm. And that's a 21 on both sides. All right, make sure you're getting the correct orientation on the upper controller when you're putting that in. And then use the stock hardware. All right, so tighten that up. All right, and go ahead and slip that upper control arm ball joint into the spindle using the stock hardware. Okay, now go ahead and put the sway bar endings back in. And then go ahead and put your brake lines back together. Remember, you got the two clips, one on the frame rail and one on the upper control arm. Now the tie rod. All right, so the front's done, onto the rear. So the first thing you want to do is loosen up the sway bar end links on both sides, and that's an 18. Now take your 21 and remove the shock bolts. You can just remove the shock bolts on the bottom, just leave the ones on the top. At this point, you're going to want to support your rear axle, and now you'll be able to remove one side. So take that coil out. And then on the opposite side, you're going to want to go ahead and remove that track bar bolt. And then from there, you should be able to remove that coil spring. And then go ahead and grab your blade and cut those nipples off the coil isolator. And then put on your spacer. Okay, now you're going to want to go ahead and loosen up the trailer arm hardware. And they're 21s and 24s. Just loosen that up. You do not have to remove that. What we're doing here is we're just getting a little more play so that we're able to get that coil spring in there. So there's 4 altogether. There's 2 on top and then 2 on the bottom. And that's on both driver and passenger side. Okay, so now you should be able to take your jack and lower it so that you have a lot more room to put that coil in with the coil spacer. So start from the top and then slip in from the bottom. Go ahead and grab the hardware, and that is for your bump stop. So you got nuts and bolts. This is a little tedious, so be patient with it. Not a lot of room there to work with, but it's important to put those on. You don't want anything bottoming out. and then go ahead and put everything back together. All right, so the track bar is still loose, so we're gonna go ahead and tighten everything up right now while it's on the floor. And that's it. Okay, so we're done with this thing. Let's go and check it out. So you can see the upper A-arm there and the strut spacer. Nice polished look. And this thing gave a really good level look. So it's nice and level, 3.5 in the front, 2 in the back. Looks a lot better than it did before. You put some wheels and tires on this to really set it off. All right, so if you're interested in this kit, just click the link in the description below. That'll take you directly to the product page. Remember, we do have financing available. Breaker Stereo and Performance is the car stereo and performance shop where you can charge it. So you can get what you want today and make low, easy monthly payments. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We're consistently putting videos out like this, how-tos, tutorials, product reviews, and more. If you're local, come visit us at 465 North Oxnard Boulevard in the beautiful city of Oxnard. Thanks for watching.